His hands moved over my body like they were painting me with invisible strokes, tracing paths that left my skin tingling in their wake. The tropical heat clung to us, the air thick with the scent of jasmine drifting in through the open window. Adrian's lips found mine, soft yet insistent, as his fingers tangled in my hair. His body pressed against mine, every movement deliberate, every touch igniting a fire I hadn't known existed within me. I surrendered to him completely, letting the world outside dissolve into a hazy blur. His whispers were like poetry against my ear, his voice low and intoxicating, promising things I couldn't fully comprehend but desperately wanted to believe. As we moved together, the rhythm of our bodies was a symphony, rising and falling in perfect harmony. And in that moment, I felt free, untethered from expectation, unbound by convention. Adrian's touch became more confident, more demanding, as though he was trying to pull me deeper into the moment, into him. His lips trailed down my neck, leaving a path of heat that made my breath hitch with every soft kiss. His hands found the curve of my waist, pulling me closer until there was no space left between us. Only the intoxicating connection of skin against skin. The air around us seemed heavier, the tropical heat mingling with the intensity of our passion, and I could feel my pulse quickening. My body responded to every deliberate movement he made. His voice, low and almost inaudible, murmured words I couldn't quite understand. But the tone alone sent shivers coursing through me. I ran my hands down his back, feeling the taut muscles tense beneath my touch, and pulled him closer still. Every movement was deliberate, each touch a declaration that felt both fleeting and eternal. The faint sounds of the city outside faded into nothingness, replaced by the rhythm we created together, a rising crescendo of need and desire. When we finally collapsed onto the bed, our breathing heavy and uneven, the room was filled with the scent of jasmine and the aftermath of our shared intensity. Adrian brushed a stray strand of my hair from my face, his dark eyes searching mine as though he wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. I pressed a kiss to his lips, soft and lingering, and for a brief moment, I let myself believe that this was more than a passing moment, more than just desire. But as his arms wrapped around me and I rested my head against his chest, I knew better. This was only the beginning. Adrian lay beside me, his fingers absently tracing circles on my arm. I stared at the ceiling, my mind awash with thoughts of what this new chapter in my life might hold. I had come to Bangkok to find myself, but instead I found him, and with him, a doorway into a world I was both eager and terrified to explore. My name is Ella, and I am married to a man who loves me more than I could ever deserve. Nathan is kind, attentive, and beautiful in every way that matters. But his love for me is boundless, so boundless, in fact, that he encouraged me to leave the familiarity of our lives in London to experience something I'd only dared to dream of. Freedom. Real freedom. The kind that doesn't require explanation or justification. He sent me to Bangkok with a simple request: to live, to experience, to feel. Explore everything, he said, his hands cupping my face as he kissed me goodbye. And don't come back until you've found everything you're searching for. I didn't fully understand what he meant then, but as the weeks unfolded, his words took on a meaning I couldn't ignore. Adrian was the first to capture my attention, but he was far from the last. The city was a kaleidoscope of sensations, a place where pleasure and discovery intertwined at every corner. Among the bustling streets and serene temples, I met Maya, a French artist whose boldness both intimidated and inspired me. She became my guide, introducing me to a world of sensuality I'd only read about in novels. One night, under the glow of paper lanterns in a secluded garden, Maya and I shared a bottle of wine, our laughter echoing softly against the walls of the villa. Her eyes, dark and inviting, met mine, and in that moment, something shifted. She leaned in, her lips brushing mine with a tenderness that took my breath away. I hesitated, caught between curiosity and hesitation, but when her hand found mine, I let myself fall into her. Our movements were slow, exploratory, as though we were learning a new language together. Her hands were gentle but deliberate, her lips tracing a path down my neck as my breath caught in my throat. It was different from anything I'd experienced with Adrian. Softer, yet just as intense. The world seemed to shrink around us until all that existed was the warmth of his touch and the sound of her voice murmuring my name. Maya's fingertips danced lightly over my skin, igniting a trail of warmth wherever they lingered. She moved with an artist's precision, as though sculpting me into something new, something she alone could see. Her lips followed the path of her hands, pressing soft kisses along my collarbone, my shoulders, each one lingering just long enough to leave me breathless. I closed my eyes, surrendering to the tenderness of her touch, the way her body fit against mine, as if we had been crafted for this moment. She guided me gently, her hands finding mine as she pulled me closer. The world outside the garden faded into nothingness, replaced by the symphony of our breathing, the soft rustle of fabric as it fell away. Her movements were deliberate, almost reverent, as though she was discovering something sacred with each caress. I traced the curve of her back, marveling at the contrast of strength and softness beneath my fingers. When our lips met again, it was slow, unhurried, an exchange of trust as much as passion. As we lay entwined beneath the glow of the lanterns, her hair spilling over my shoulder, I felt a sense of connection unlike anything I'd known before. Her hands rested gently on my waist, her lips brushing against my temple in a gesture so tender it brought tears to my eyes. In her arms, I wasn't just a woman searching for something intangible. I was found, seen, and understood in a way I hadn't dared to dream of. In that moment, the garden seemed to breathe with us, a quiet witness to the love that felt as fleeting as it was eternal. Later, as we lay entwined beneath the stars, I felt a deep sense of connection, not just to her, but to myself. For the first time, I understood what Nathan had meant. This wasn't about betrayal or even desire. It was about discovering the layers of my own identity, peeling back the expectations and roles I'd worn for so long to reveal the person beneath. The days turned into weeks, and each encounter added another note to the symphony of my awakening. I learned to embrace my desires, to see them not as something to hide or fear, but as an integral part of who I was. When I finally returned to London, it wasn't with guilt or shame, but with a newfound sense of self. Nathan was waiting for me at the airport. He smiled, warm and knowing. As he embraced me, he whispered, "Did you find what you were searching for?" I smiled back, my heart full of gratitude and love for the man who had set me free. "Yes," I replied, my voice steady, "and so much more."